Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey, what's happening, people? How y'all doing? Welcome to another episode of Messages in the Madness with yours truly, Vernon Longhorn Davis. Yep, no green screen tonight. Nope, just me and me being lazy and didn't put it up. But yep, it's me hanging out with you. Thank you very much for stopping in. Hey, Mr. Net, good to see you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure you hit like or love when you come in. Hey, brother James, how you doing? Good to see you. I guess you got a new Facebook page because got a friend request from you. I almost didn't accept it, but I had to do a little investigating to make sure it was you. So I'm glad to see you. Hey, y'all, make sure you hit like or love when you come in. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. Yes, I do. Hey, Miss Coley, great to see you as well. I Happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope everybody's doing great, man. I hope you had a great week, a great weekend. I hope you got a great week coming up. So make sure you hit like or love as you come in. Hey, here we go. So, hey, Miss Charlotte, good to see you as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, again, it's Happy Memorial Day weekend. Remember those that served and have since fallen. We thank you and we owe you a debt of gratitude. And we thank you and we thank your family and your loved ones for it. So, where was Longhorn this week? Longhorn was in Houston, Texas this week. Yes, sir. I was in Texas and I got me some Whataburger. I got me some barbecue. Yes, I did. And I went to this buffet. Man, that was the best Chinese food I have ever had cooked by a Mexican in a black neighborhood. It was amazing. So that was cool. Um, yeah, worked and then came home. I think I gained a couple of pounds this week, matter of fact. But worked in the garden this weekend and worked in the yard, worked on the garden a little bit. More housework. I had to hang some curtains and all kinds of other stuff, but that's a whole nother story. But again, excuse me. I'm glad everybody could make it. Thank y'all for stopping in. And I know a lot of people out doing, what they do, Memorial Day stuff, and that's fine and that's great. But I'm just glad that you guys are here. So let's get to the message tonight. And the message is we don't know each other. Bridging social gaps. That's what I'm trying to do tonight. I know I've spoken on this subject, in another way, probably a couple of months ago, but I guess you could call it an ongoing series because, hey, that's my thing. Those of y'all that have seen Carolyn and I perform, that's one of our things is, of course, laughter has no color. And then, two, we try to bridge social gaps and racial gaps one laugh at a time. So that's what we do. So the message, like I said, while I was traveling this week, traveling home this week from Houston, I found myself in the airport there and watching all the people coming and going. I love the people watch. Many were going home to be with family or going to visit family and friends. And some were business people like myself, just hoping and praying that we didn't miss our flight and that our flight wasn't delayed so that we can, do the same thing, get home to our loved ones or get to where it is that we were trying to go. That's what we were trying to do. This was one of the things that I found we actually had in common. We all have, someone or somewhere we want to get to or people that we want to be with, especially around the holiday. Some of us are more fortunate than others. So, but during my travels, I could hear people talking about basically, the same things, making plans on their cell phones and text messages. I couldn't see this, but they're making plans, talking on the phone, talking to each other, kids running around and everything. Yeah, we're going to grandma's. We're going to grandma's. And I'm like, I'm feeling sorry for your grandma. You're a little badass. But they were making plans and talking to each other about seeing each other. I even heard the flight attendants talking about their plans for the weekend and how where they was going to go and what they were going to do and how they was going to spend the weekend. So that was the thing we had in common because everybody was that's what everybody was about, getting there, getting to where they was going. But on my flight, I had the privilege of sitting and talking with a young lady that was sitting next to me. And she was from Wisconsin. And we talked for the whole flight. It was over almost a 2 hour flight. We talked for the whole 2 hour flight. And I learned something about her. And what I learned was that we were more alike than we were unlike. We shared, just from our conversations, I realized that we shared the same, a lot of the same interests and concerns, even some of the same hopes and dreams. And this made me happy, but it made me sad at the same time. Why? Because she was talking to me about what she wanted to accomplish. Yes, she said that she did not know anyone in her orbit, in her circle of people that she could go to get the help she needed to get started doing one thing. She wanted to be a public speaker. And y'all know y'all know the history of me and talking to other people about being a public speaker or a keynote speaker. So of course I talked and I helped and I, pointed in the right places. So um this is a small comparison to everything else in life, but it is much like a mustard seed. You guys ever seen a mustard seed? Yeah, really, really, really tiny. It's small when you look at it. Then when you plant that mustard seed and nurture it, before you know it, it's 20,000 times the size of what it began as. Hence the issue in our country. We don't know each other. So tonight's episode, we're gonna dive into that a little bit. So hey, brother Jeff, good to see you, Simplify Marine. Spent James said he spent yesterday cleaning gravestones. Hey, bro, thank you. That is amazing. That is selfless right there, man. Thank you very much, James. So again, so like I say, tonight we're gonna dive into this. We're gonna talk about it a little bit. Because during my travels, I get to spend time inside my own head. Yeah. Yeah, that could be a scary place at times. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking, what do we as people have in common? Actually, we have a lot in common. Okay, so what is it that we all share this weekend that we have in common? What is that we have in common this weekend? It's Memorial Day. But not everyone cooks out or not everybody goes to visit people or attend the big sale at JC Penney's Memorial Day sale. Not all of us do that. The one thing that we all have in common on Memorial Day is death. And I know that's unlike me to even say such things, but that's true. We all have this in common. Truly sad, but it's true. Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. We have all had someone that we know that has served in the military that has passed on. We may not have known them or been close to them. We may have only heard stories about them, but we are all connected in that fashion that we've all had somebody in our families or friends or loved ones that served in the military. And this weekend is set up in order to memorialize them, the people or persons we memorialize. They may not have perished in service, but they did transition at some point. So we're close to, you know, but this is still common ground for all of us. We all have had that at some point. We know somebody. We got family members, stories that people tell stories about. So it's unfortunate that I'm using this to draw us a line to illustrate that we are more alike than unlike, yet the truth is the truth. So we were all born, we're all going to perish at one point in time. So think about it. Many do not think that we share many things in common. Yet the truth is we share much, but we don't know each other. That's the thing. We don't know each other. We don't know actually what we share in common because we don't know each other. We don't know our neighbors anymore. Not like we used to. Your neighbors, your neighbor may be sitting in their home alone this holiday thinking about someone that has passed on and remembering the time that they had together. Many of you will do the same as you spend time with your family and friends. But we would not know this about our neighbors because we don't talk to them. We don't know them. We see them in the yard. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? And we keep it moving. But do you remember back in the day when we knew the neighbor? We knew everything about the neighbor. Now we don't. And I'm just, I'm trying to bring it down to this focus instead of this focus. Because in order to change this, we got to start here. Instead of here. The most common things in life we all share. You know, taxes, taxes. Anyway, we do. The most common things in life we all share. Yet we have been manipulated by many different factors in our lives, and these things have blinded us, and we're unable to see each other as we should. These different factors make it hard for us to see each other beyond race, creed, color, sexuality, political viewpoints, and a number of other things that I don't have the time to get into tonight. Yet the fact is that we are seeing each other over a gap, more like a very large, what's the word, chasm, a big hole, a big space. We are seeing each other from a distance, and that distance makes it hard for us to see each other in any detail. I personally feel that that is our challenge. That is the challenge right there, to get us closer so we can actually see each other and know each other. Hmm. There are many questions to be asked, like how do we close the gap? How do we begin to see what many have hidden from us all these years? How do we fix what has been broken for so long? How do we begin to see that we are more alike than we are unalike? Should we even fix it? Do we need to fix it? Should we even try to fix it? What will we gain? Yeah, so many questions. There's a lot of questions. And these are just the tip of the iceberg because there's even more. But does it start? So, where does it start? Does it start with us? Does it start with you and me? Do we begin to reshape the way we think about each other as people and not as groups and subgroups of people? Does it start with me and you, or does it have to fall to our grandchildren, our children, our grandchildren, or even our great grandchildren? When do we decide that, hey, maybe it's time for us to stop listening to these outside sources and start listening to ourselves, our hearts, our minds, and taking the moment to know your neighbor or know your coworker or have a conversation with that person on the bus you ride to work every day or that person that you see at the grocery store. And they always smiling and they wave and they say hi, but you don't know them. You just know that's the guy at the, you just know that's the guy or the woman at the grocery store. That's all you know. So over time, we've been taught to avoid certain people. Hey, baby sis, good to see you. Hey, Miss Lydia, thanks for stopping by. Brother Andy. Andy says everyone can make a difference, and sometimes he said everyone can make a difference, and sometimes you don't know who you are inspiring by just being yourself. Amen. Amen. And there's another amen. So over time, we have been taught to avoid certain people. We have been taught that many are different from you and I in ways that would blow your mind. I remember when I went in the army, they told us this thing. They said, stay up. I'm sorry, I can't tell y'all that story. Can't tell y'all that story. Sorry. But anyway, let me give you an example. I can get on the Southwest Airlines flight where they have open seating, and I can guarantee you that no one will sit in the seats in the row with me until they have begun to run out of seats. I mean, it's almost got to be like the last row of seats. And typically I sit pretty close to the front of the plane. Now, I'm not going to attempt to explain that to you. I'm going to let you work that one out on your own. But it comes from things that we have taught people, of things that we have been taught. The misunderstanding of people due to social gaps is not new. And it actually exists in every part of our lives. It does. We've been mentally separated for so long. We've been physically separated for a long time. We've been told stories about each other that keep us from even coming close to each other. We have been conditioned to believe that this is just the way that it is. This is just how it is. Deal with it. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's no reason why you should not know your neighbor. It's not. So here's another example for you. Something that I was taught. It was taught to me when I came to, well, after I've been here for a while, but I've heard it a number of times. And what was taught to me is that people from the city in St. Louis do not hang out in the county. And people from North City do not hang out in South City. And people from North County don't hang out in South County. And if you live in West County, then you must have a lot of money. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard it for so long from so many that I almost have to believe that it's true. But this is something that was taught to me. And since that was taught to me, I've since learned more about the history of this. But again, we won't get into that either. That's a whole nother story. But here's one more example for you. I always found it interesting that in St. Louis, people ask you, where'd you go to high school? This is how they qualify you and then put you into a group in their head, a category, a group, or whatever in their head. They kind of figure out who you are and where you come from. Sometimes, they'll ask you, hey, so what church do you go to? Again, that's categorization. So me and my dumb ass, I often respond, I didn't go to high school and I don't go to church. That makes me an uneducated heathen. Now what? Yeah. I've gotten some strange looks from that one. Yeah. Yet again, this is what we've been taught. And this is what has been taught to many. So if we can look beyond these various tags and stereotypes, we may be surprised to learn what wonderful and great people we have in our midst that we encounter on a regular basis, that's sitting right next to us on the bus or on the plane as we're going to and fro. If we stopped and had a conversation with that security guard at Dollar Tree, you may be like, wow, that stereotype I heard about you ain't even true. But we will never know because we don't know where to look to see the ties that bind us all. There is a tie. There are ties that bind us, but we don't know where to look for that because it's been covered up and overshadowed for so many years. We don't know where to look. We don't know each other. And it's sad. It's even truer in the business world. It's true, or is that a word? Well, I'm using it tonight, but it's even true in the business world. I've noticed that people hire and promote people that look, talk, and have the same interests as they do. Why? Because they can identify with them easier than they cannot. It's easy for them to identify. Or may find it difficult to relate to someone they they don't know anything about. They know nothing about their upbringing or background. Their view of others is skewed or has been skewed by what they have learned or not learned throughout their lives. Again, we don't know each other. So it comes back to the title of this message tonight, y'all. And I know I've said it 17 times. We don't know each other. That is the biggest issue in this country. And it's sad, but it's true. We need to bridge the gap and understand that there is a lot that we can learn from each other. And we as a country could be even stronger if we were to take the time to get to know one another. Yeah. We need to know one another away from what we have been taught or what we have been told by the media, the press, movies, folk tales, unwritten history. I can go down a list for you. We've been taught lies about each other. We have. When we really need to learn from one another. Not all people are bad, and the media makes you think that they are. I know more great people than I know bad people. And even some of the bad people I know, I have seen some great things in them. So, but that's just me. I try to find the great in everything and everybody. I've never met a stranger. I know some people who can attest to that. But it is unfortunate that Memorial Day and its meaning is a common ground for us all. We all know or knew someone that deserves to be honored today, well, tomorrow, and always. But let this message today be a seed of hope that is planted in you to explain, to expand your horizons when it comes to people or groups you know very little about. And maybe reach out to your neighbor. You might learn that you have more in common than you think, other than just living in the same neighborhood. So happy Memorial Day to y'all, man, with that. So let's look over here in the comments and see what we got going on here. Make sure I didn't leave anybody out. Do me a favor. If you like the message tonight, hit like or love. Share it for me if you would, please. Please. Um, let's see. I said hey to everybody. Andy got me a message. Miss Lydia popped in. My sister popped in. James says time is now to really talk. You're very right, James. It is. And then James says we are all green. Yeah, we are. We are all descendants of aliens. No, what we were taught in the military is that we all bleed green, which was true. But even in the military, I learned very quickly that some people did not know who they were talking to or who they was dealing with. And that did become an issue for some. So Coley says, I've never incorporated where did you go to high school into my introductory conversation with folks. Really don't understand how that question became a St. Louis thing. I don't either, but I got hit with it a lot. And baby sister say, is that me? And yes, that's a picture of you in my background. Well, fine. No laughing at my legs either. So, yep, that's you, baby sis. I got you right there. You be looking over my shoulder all the time with your little pretty self. So, you all in my background. See, I should have had my blue screen up. You all back in here and everything. Oh, and don't forget Horn. He's still back there too, hanging out. So, all right, y'all. That's the message for tonight. And I really hope that you have a great holiday, whatever it is that you decide to do. Barbecue, go lay flowers. Go lay flowers on the grave of a service member that you don't even know. You may, I don't know. There's 1,001 things that you could do tomorrow, but tonight you chose to be here, and I thank you for that. So again, hit like a love, share the message. I'm going to get up out of here. So with that, I will say what I always say. I love you. God loves you. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. Respect yourself. Respect yourself. Take care of them kids. Respect our vets. I am Vernon Longhorn Davis, and this has been another episode of Messages in the Madness. God bless y'all.